Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you're ready.
3, 2, 1, action.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Shades of Grey podcast. I am one half of your host, Jasmine Carr with eXp Realty.
And I am Monique Hoggard with eXp Realty, and we are the Shades of Grey podcast because everything in real estate
Is not always black and white, there are always shades of gray. So, this segment, we are going to be talking about something that we think will be very valuable to anyone who may be looking to invest or looking for more information about how to get started in investing in real estate. We're going to go over the different types of investment strategies that you may be looking at or looking into when it comes to investing in real estate. And then we're also going to be talking about some pros and cons and some risks that may be involved because, as you always know, we like to make sure that you guys are informed. We want to make sure that you guys have the information that you need in order to make informed decisions for yourself and your family.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and get straight into it. One of the first investment strategies that is very popular and you may have heard is the fix and flip. I know if you've watched HGTV for any amount of time, you're probably very familiar with the concept of purchasing the property and then flipping it for a profit. What you may not know is that there are 3 categories that fall under the fix and flip investment strategy model. That's going to be wholesaling, wholetailing, and then your common fix and flip. And the biggest difference between these is going to be the amount of time that you are actually sitting on the property before you put it back to the market in order to sell to the end user or end investor in the transaction.
And also the type of lender that they're going to use.
Correct. We will also be getting into a segment about financing at a later episode. So you want to make sure that you stay tuned and make sure that you follow us and subscribe so you can stay up to date when that episode drops.
Absolutely.
So in regards to wholesaling, what that's going to look like, usually that's going to look like you assigning the purchase contract to the end seller. It would look like maybe opening double escrow. So that would mean that you have one escrow for the original purchase of the property. The second escrow is going to be for that end seller or end investor. Usually the escrow is going to close in the order of the sale. That last one is going to be just a quick purchase and a quick resale. So the essential idea of wholesaling is you're purchasing a property at a very low market rate and trying to get that property back onto the market very quickly. The next subcategory of the fix and flip is going to be wholetailing. And the way that you go about the transaction may be similar to a wholesale, but in regards to this particular strategy, what you're doing is you're going to do a quick cleanup. So this is going to be something that may already be close to market ready. It may need a couple of aesthetic fixes. You want to go in, do those really quickly, and then get that onto the market very quickly. The last category is going to be the standard fix or flip that we all know, which is you're going in, you're purchasing this property, and you're adding real value, which means you're doing more of an extensive remodel to add more value, and then you're going to actually take that property and put it onto the MLS. The next investment strategy is going to be your buy and hold. And that's going to be something that's a lot more common. It's when you purchase a property and you're holding that property for an extended period of time, usually anywhere between 15 to 20 years, even longer. This is very popular because it adds long-term value. It's a long-term investment strategy. And in the meantime, while you own that property, you're actually gaining rental income. So ideally, it's not a primary property. There are certain cases and certain property types that would lend itself to being a great primary property as well as a rental property, but we'll get into those things a little bit later. Monique, can you tell us about some of the pros and cons of investing?
I can. So, while investing in real estate has its pitfalls, it does also have their huge opportunities. So we want to have cash flow. That's the first and foremost thing that we all look for, steady cash flow. Owning real estate can boost your income. And of course, individuals look to buy properties, as Jasmine talked about, with their buy and holds, and also either renting out those properties A lot of times people forget about commercial properties. You can do the same. You can purchase a commercial property space. You can lease out to retail, office. Now we're seeing a lot more manufacturing type tenants, so keep that in mind with your commercial properties. The second is great returns. So if you are making money and you're having a positive cash flow, you are going to have a great return. But what do you want to do with that? You want to make sure that either you reinvest in something to leverage your costs or your taxes. So you want to either reinvest in another property, otherwise you're going to hit that capital gains tax, which that's something that we don't want to see anytime soon. You want to consider having long-term security. So a lot of times you have to do your research. Finding the location is very important, and making sure that you buy and hold, as Jasmine said, for several years. That's where you're going to see your long-term returns. Tax advantages, as I mentioned, there are plenty of benefits for investing in real estate. So you can reduce your income with expenses. You can reduce any of your property taxes, your property management fees. Those things taken into consideration are all deductions for you as an individual investor. And of course, passive income. We want to have passive income. Who wants to work when you can just collect rents? Right?
Okay.
So you want to also have the ability to leverage your funds. A lot of times we cannot afford to purchase all these properties with our own money. We want to use the bank's money. So keep that in mind. Leverage your funds. You are able to utilize either a hard money lender or a private money lender when you do these things, okay? And some of the cons are, again, location. Sometimes if you don't have a great location, you may have a hard time finding tenants to come into that property. You also have to think about the price and how much money you have to put in it. If it's a fix and flip, as Jasmine was talking about, you're going to have to spend some of your money, which the bank is going to require. They want to make sure that you have skin in the game, and make sure that you're able to either contribute to the construction or the reconstruction of that property. But a lot of times, and this has happened with one of my investors, where we had a very good deal. We had 2 properties where I think he bought it for about $75,000, and because he didn't do his due diligence with the contractor, when it came time to go to closing, prior to closing inspection, there was a whole lot of things wrong with it. So a lot of times you want to make sure that you have a good contractor that knows what they're doing, because a lot of times you may have to pull the property off the market while the clock is still ticking on those interest payments. So sometimes investors, they lose money. It's a 50-50 shot. It's not guaranteed that you are going to, strike it hot. But now that you know some of these, tips as far as pros and cons, I just want to talk about time also. Time is very important. A lot of times if you don't plan out your depending on how long you want to keep that property, you may sometimes experience bad tenants. COVID happens, things happen, life happens. It's still going to go on. Just because you're an investor doesn't mean that everyday life and living does not happen. You may have tenants that don't decide that they may lose their job or they don't want to pay rent. Yep. So again, that might cost you additional money.
And I also like to know, if you don't mind, Monique, just to add to that point, especially in regards to taking the property as a rental property, buying and holding and keeping that property as a rental property, please keep in mind that things come up, things happen in the same way you have your own house, and the dishwasher may break, something might happen. You want to make sure you have money in reserves so that you can go ahead and tend to that tenant, because it costs to lose a good tenant if this is a part of your investment strategy. So you want to keep that in mind. You want to have some reserved income, so in the event that something happens, you can take care of that in a timely fashion and keep a happy tenant.
Right. But time is a very important factor, because depending on how long, again, you hold the property is where you're going to see your investment return. But also you want to make sure that whatever you paid for it, of course you want to do better than breaking even, and sometimes you just that may require you to hold it a little bit longer than you may have wanted to. So keep those things in mind when you are considering investing in a property. But now that you know some of these things, if you are ready and looking, we would be more than happy to assist you. You can reach me at 832-578-4021. And Jasmine?
You can reach me at 210-275-3183. You can also follow me on Instagram. That's Jasmine, Jasmine, Sells Homes, SELLSHOMES.
And I am Move with Monique too. And that's my Instagram, and on Facebook I'm Monique. So please reach out to us if you want to give us a call, if you want to send us a DM. We are here as a resource for you. We also work with wholesalers, so we can sometimes find you off market properties, But please do not sleep on the listed properties, because sometimes you can still find a good opportunity on a listed property on the MLS. Just depends on how long that property has been on the market. That does give you an advantage to negotiate the cost. So keep that in mind.
That goes into the wholesaling category of the fix and flip. So again, you're looking for that property that good bones, good location, maybe needs a little bit of a touch up. Those are really great opportunities for you to get in, put in a little extra work, and then resell for a profit.
That's right.
So that's all we have for you guys in reference to investment strategies and an introduction into investing.
Yes.
Make sure that you like and subscribe and leave any comments or questions that you have. The next time we'll be talking more in depth about what it takes to find the right type of property when investing. Like we always tell you, you always want to make sure that you know your numbers. These things are subjective, but we'll be able to give you some great tips or tricks and things to keep in mind for when it's time for you to take that next step. And as always, we want to be your realtor of your choice, your realtor for life. So if you guys have any questions, do not hesitate to connect with either myself or Monique. So until next time, guys.
See you soon.
Bye.
Thank you for watching.